which I love. All right, guys, I want to go ahead and get the call started and welcome you to tonight's call. I am fired up about tonight. It's going to light a fire underneath you. It's going to like ignite you in one way or the other. And I'm so excited because we have one of our really fantastic speakers, Jerny Rieves, here to talk to us tonight. And we were speaking earlier today. Well, she sent me a video earlier today, and she's just passionate right now. She is bringing it real and raw, which is what we wanted her to do. But she's on fire. She came from Arizona, just recently went to, were you in Montana? I think Montana, correct me when
Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Wyoming, that's right. It was one of those.
And I'm not sure why everybody doesn't remember Wyoming, but it is a forgettable state, I'm just going to say.
Try not to forget. But she traveled, packing up her home and everything about what she does. She's a personal trainer, a nutritionalist, a health coach, and a mom of three incredible children. Packed up everything to go to Wyoming for some training way before the virus hit. Then during the midst of everything, actually got hurt, so kind of had to stay home a little bit at the hotel she was at, and then drove to Florida to really start her career as a flight attendant and during this pandemic. So she's in it. She is in it in all different ways with the people she's surrounded with, her bosses, her clients, the people coming in, people on the flights. I mean, it is all around you, Jerny. So I am excited to hear your passion and hear your fired up situation about us because you have the knowledge and the education on what we should do way before this pandemic. Your speech, I don't think is going to be much different than what you would have told us a year ago. But now that this is here, what can we do to protect ourselves and take care of ourselves during this pandemic? And I'm really excited because I know you don't hold back. You bring it all to the table. So have some fun, Jerny, and bring it out there. And guys, she's going to open it up for questions when she's finished. So please write some questions down as she goes through everything. Thank you guys all for being here tonight, and thank you, Jerny, for presenting.
All right, well, thanks, you guys. The first thing I want to do is I want to apologize because I am still on the road. I did not plan, but Florida has construction like you would not believe. So I am trying really hard to get home to where it's quiet. But in the meantime, Stephanie told me I did need to hold back today. So I have a YouTube channel called Health Highway, and haven't used it much in the past, but as I am out in the world and I'm changing careers and I'm dealing with things, I'm finding that video is such a valuable resource and such a valuable tool, whereas social media is it's so inundated with information at this point that there's so much noise that people can't hear anything. And I want you to just nod your head if you understand what I'm saying right now. There's so much, you can't go on social media right now without getting complete opposite information from what the next post would be, and the next post would be, and the next post would be. And I get that everybody is concerned, and they should be concerned, but they're sharing information that has not been validated, and they're sharing information from sources that are not reliable, that don't have any scientific background. And for those of you who know me, know that I'm all about the science. I have always been about the science. I will always be about the science. If you do not have a peer-reviewed study to back you up, I'm going to question your information. And so the video that Stephanie is alluding to is a video that I posted today just off the cuff on the fly, incredibly frustrated by the information and the misinformation and the panic that is happening on social media right now. And when we try to counsel our clients, our customers, our friends, our family, our loved ones, it's very, very difficult because everybody's got a different set of perceptions and everybody's got a different set of filters that they're working with. And it is very hard in a situation where everybody's already scared and confused. It is very difficult to get good quality information in a way that people are going to accept it. So I don't want this to be a one-way conversation tonight because I didn't know who was going to be on this call and I wasn't sure like where people are at. The hardest thing in the whole entire world as a health educator is to try to convince people that common sense is at a premium. And Stephanie, you totally hit it on the head when you said, my health advice tonight is no different than my health advice a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The only difference is that the science and the technology have evolved enough in order for us to fine tune things. So one of the things I love about Isagenix is the fact that they don't rest. They don't relax. They don't sit back and go, hey, we have the best products on the market. We can just sit and enjoy our profits now. No, they're constantly reformulating. They're constantly reevaluating. They're constantly listening to the customer. They're constantly listening to the associate. They're constantly listening to their scientific team. They have literally light years ahead in the science in the 6, 7, how long have we been doing this, Stephanie? 7 years, I think, in June. 7 years, I was already amazed by their science, and they have just come so far in their formulations, and people need Isagenix nutrition more than ever, more than ever. I can't put into terms clearly enough that your micronutrition right now is the most important it's ever been, okay? Because what you're doing is you are going to be exposed. It is not, you guys, do not kid yourself for 1 minute. It's not if you're going to be exposed, it's when you're going to be exposed, okay? This is a SARS-CoV-2 is the name of it. COVID-19 is the actual symptoms, that's the sickness that you get. And you don't ever, you're going to get exposed to it. Whether you get exposed to it next week or whether you get exposed to it in October, you're going to get exposed to it. At some point, we're going to have to get out in our house. If your micronutrition is not on point, you're going to get sick. If your micronutrition is on point, you may have some symptoms, but you will be functional through the virus. Some of us will never feel any symptoms at all, but we will be actively carrying the virus. And that's really, I think, where we need to understand the clearest is it's not if, it's when. And how is our body going to respond to an invader? Okay, this is a toxin just like any of the toxins we cleanse during the cleanse process. No one is immune to it. It is not a human virus, so our bodies do not have a natural human immunity to it. And so it's going to be up to a very fragile the best way that I can explain it to you guys is there's a very delicate balance in the human body when it comes to immunity, and it also is surrounded by inflammation. And this virus is attacking the alveoli, which are the tiny little sacs in the lungs, if it makes it that far. And if it makes it that far, there is absolutely nothing that the body can do to fight it off except to produce fluid, which is the usual immune response that we have. And that is where we're running into problems with people. So the key to this whole situation is to not let it get to your lungs in the first place. And I want to reiterate that we don't know enough about the virus to have definitive answers about things like vaccines or treatments, and they're trying some new treatments and they're having some good luck with treatments, and we're very, very blessed and grateful that those things are coming along. But the reality is that if your body can fight this thing off in the trachea, then you're fine. You're gonna be fine. The problem is when it hits the bronchial tubes and then the alveoli, where the issue lies. That's where the lungs shut down because you're literally drowning. So there's a lot of science behind it. We're learning more every day. I'm paying very close attention to it. My daughter is an ICU nurse, for those of you who don't know that. I'm terrified for her. They do not have the resources available to be able to protect the medical workers. It just doesn't exist. And what my daughter said to me was, "Oh, Mom, don't worry about it. I've got the immune system to fight it off." And I was like, man, I love that confidence, because she's 26 years old. And we had that confidence when we were 26 years old, and she's probably right. But when we circle it back around to the things that we can do instead of the things that we can't do, we have to just continue to focus on the things we can do. And the things that we can do are, number one, micronutrition. Number two, stress management. Number three, making sure that we are getting enough rest. Sleep is at the top of the list, okay? And number four is that we are getting regular, moderate, not extreme exercise so that our lungs stay elastic and expansive. Cardio every day. Those are the four main things that we can control and that we can do. And I know that that's a struggle for a lot of people, because it's going to require behavior change. It's going to require some extra preparation, some extra thought, some extra effort. But those of you who are already doing those four things are in a much better place in order to fight this virus than the people who are at highest risk, who are basically the people who don't do those four things. So I feel like I just talked a lot. If you would like to unmute yourself and ask questions at this point, I would welcome that. Is there anybody that has any questions on any of this? Stephanie, if you can read.
I have a question.
Yes.
So where did you learn all this?
Well, I already knew a lot of it because I have studied the human body since I was 18 years old. So a lot of this is not new information. But then I went and, had a bunch of conversations with my daughter early on, and then basically just started reading up on it and reading up on what they knew about the virus, not about anything other than, I don't care about the politics. I don't care about the origin of it. I'm not getting myself involved with it. What I wanted to understand was the dynamics, and the SARS viruses have been around for decades. They've been around for a long time. So there's a lot we already do know. What makes it the CoV2 is the actual attachment the little spikes on it. You see those pictures of the, I actually did a video on this too. The little spikes that you see on the little virus that the little memes are showing around. Those little spikes are what attach to the human cell and attack it. And it opens a gateway, and it opens the cell membrane, and it allows them in. And that is a very classic SARS coronavirus. COV stands for coronavirus. Coronaviruses have been around for long time. And so this is no different. All this is, and I hesitate to say this because it will open a big can of worms, but if this is a manufactured virus, it is basically taken the worst qualities of a SARS virus and put it into a new strain of virus that we know of as corona. So this is brand new strain, but this is not a brand new virus. The coronaviruses have been around for a very long time. So that was kind of a long answer. I'm sorry about that.
No, I really appreciate it. I love your knowledge, and I'm so glad I hopped on the call. So do you feel like if you're healthy and you do the things and you do the micronutrients and get your all that rest, I mean, you're just like anything, you're just going to be able to fight anything better. The goal is not to get it into your lungs.
Correct.
But like if you're healthy, it could get into your lungs if you're healthy, couldn't it?
It could, but hopefully what the immune systems do, it's going to attack it the minute it hits. It's going to embed somewhere, okay? So the first place that it embeds, and that's why it starts with a sore throat. That's why most viruses you get start with a sore throat, because when you inhale the virus, it immediately attaches. Some people are very susceptible to their sinuses, and it goes into their sinuses. But and you have those people who always get the sinus infection, okay? So it could hit your sinuses for whatever reason. This virus really likes the trachea. And so if it hits the trachea and the immune system does what it's supposed to do, which is attacks the cells and kills them, then you may have a sore throat, you may feel a little malaise for a couple days, you might feel tired, you might run a little fever, and then it'll run its course and it'll kill the virus, and then that will be it. Or it could sit there. This particular virus likes to sit around and like put its feet up and hang out. I'm not exactly sure. We don't know why that it does that, but there's this really, really long germination rate. So, it doesn't have to hit your lungs. And for a lot of people, it never does. They just got flu-like symptoms, and then it goes away. So it doesn't have to attack your lungs. It's just that it hits the trachea, and then as it grows and it proliferates, because that's what viruses do, is they just keep multiplying, and then it multiplies and it hits the bronchi, and then it hits the bronchial tubes, and then it eventually moves down into the alveoli. But it's like any other virus, it's like any other flu, it's going to attack the weakest link. And for people who their lungs are their weakest link, like those people who get pneumonia every year, like those are the people that are most susceptible.
So Jerny, I have two questions, and thank you for all of that. Number one, and we didn't talk about this, but we're all Isagenix users. And I think pretty much everybody on the call uses a lot. So I'd love to have your thoughts on which ones are going to be super important for this. And then the other thing, a little bit more medical or scientific, and I don't know if Diana can help with this either, but I'm starting to hear from people who aren't getting fevers, and they don't have that sign happening. They just have the really sore throat, and it's a feeling like they've never felt before.
Yes, yeah. There's been well, let me answer your first one first, or your last one first, Stephanie, and then I'll talk about the products, because that's going to be a bit longer answer.
Right, thank you.
So the symptoms are different for everyone. And that's one of the scary things about this virus is because, you know, we're carrying it around and we're contagious. Usually it's a 2-week for any virus. You've got about a 2-week contagious without showing symptoms. And everybody's symptoms are a little bit different. So you could have just a sore throat and a headache, or you could have like a little fever and you're really tired, or you could have this like sore throat and that's it. So it's very, very different for everyone. And what we don't want people to do is like completely panic because they have a sore throat and go running to the doctor, because the doctors don't have time for you, you know. But if you have, let's say you have one symptom of 4, okay, one symptom of those 4, then really you're just going to wear a mask so that you don't share that with other people. Stay at home, do your due diligence in not spreading it, and it may just pass. If you have 2 symptoms, you would do the same thing, but you'd be a little more aware of like how you're feeling and becoming really in tune with, like, do I feel sick? If you're running a fever, absolutely for sure. That's like just a super red flag. If you have 3 or more symptoms, at this point, your doctor is going to assume you're COVID positive. They're just not even messing with you anymore. And they're going to tell you to stay home. Unless you cannot breathe, do not go to the emergency room. Because if for some reason you don't have it and you go to the emergency room, you're gonna get exposed to it. And so they're trying to keep people, if you're not serious, stay home, follow your doctor's recommendations. More than likely, you know, 80% of everybody's not getting hospitalized, you guys. It's not that bad. It's the people who are at risk, and you're just going to follow your doctor's advice. You're going to give them a call and you're going to say, you know, I've got these symptoms and here's how long it's been lasting. What should I do? And then you're just going to explain the symptoms that are present. Now, what does happen, Stephanie, I'll add to that, is some people who do test positive for COVID start with one symptom and that symptom goes away, and then they get another symptom and that goes away, and then they don't have anything for a while, and then all of a sudden it blows up. So you have to be really careful because it's different for everyone. This thing is manifesting itself differently in different people, just like any other flu would. But you have to do your due diligence, and the most important thing that you have to do is if you have any of the symptoms, you have to stay away from other people, because we just don't know, and you have to be careful. And so that's where the masks come in. Wearing a mask, I was talking about this on my video, I'm like, you are not protecting yourself from wearing the mask, you're protecting other people around you by wearing the mask. That's the point of this. So to your next question, did someone have a question, or? Okay. So the next question, what Isagenix products are most important? This is a good question. I want you guys to write this down, because this is the stuff that I really want you to share with other people. This is the stuff that I think is just so important. Your micronutrition, if you do not know the difference between micronutrition and macronutrition, go to my Health Highway YouTube channel, and there is a whole video on the difference between micro and macronutrition. So if you don't know the difference between the two, please go do that. We need the number one thing that everybody needs to be taking, if they're not taking right now, is the daily essentials with Isagenesis. That's the number one product, because that way we know you're getting the micronutrition that you need. Number two, if you are finding yourself very stressed out, you're really struggling with sleep, you're really having a hard time managing the reality, if you're an empath and you're watching the news and you're, you know, on social media constantly and you're following everything, you guys already know what product I'm going to tell you is number two, right? okay? Make sure you've got your Ionic Supreme. That 2 to 4 scoops a day is not excessive right now. If you're not sleeping and you're struggling with just the stress of everything. So that would be number 2. Number 3 product is definitely going to be the Immune Booster Shake add-on and the Immune Spray. Those all of the immune products are there for a reason. Isogenics way ahead of the curve on that stuff. So if you don't have the immune products, I know right now that they're limiting it to one canister per customer per month. Is that correct? Yeah. So make sure you're getting that and you have that in your shakes. And I think those are the top 3. And then, then just drinking your shakes. Make sure you guys are drinking your shakes. What else? Do you guys have questions on that? Anybody have questions on product?
The other things that we've been adding to our routine, because we're kind of bumping up a little bit more, would be, of course, I have the kids and kids vitamins, and Brad and I are Ageless Essentials. But I've also added more Sea Light, and then I don't think we have elderberry, so I have added some elderberry, and greens, which we were always big fans of greens before, but now it's just no question.
Yes. Okay, so the things that I gave you guys, I want you to understand, number 1, first and foremost, you are eating a healthy diet to begin with. Okay, I'm making the assumption that you guys are eating healthy food already to begin with. The biggest thing, like if you could take every single Isogenics product that they have, I would do it, like truly. But the big ones are making sure that you're getting the micronutrition, which is very well-rounded. And then the greens are fantastic. Hydrate is great. Giving hydrate to the kids is really important. And, I think probably also making sure the Sea Light, I like the Sea Light if you're not eating a lot of vitamin C. If you're eating a lot of vitamin C, you probably don't need the Sea Light, because it's already in the daily essentials. And like people put emergencies in their water, that kind of thing. It's all good. The big ones are just making sure that you're managing your stress. And the other thing is your sleep spray, if you're struggling with sleeping, because I can see how that's a struggle for a lot of people right now. I think if you are watching a lot of TV and you are really you're an empath and that affects you, that's a thing, and that's a really important thing. So I really would make sure that you are turning off the TV, you're turning off your blue light, you're using your sleep spray, and you're getting good solid sleep, good quality sleep. I can't stress that enough, because I think that people really are struggling with the stress right now. Your kids are picking up on that, and it's affecting their sleep. And then if you do have kids, like, that's a whole nother conversation. I touched on that on my video on my YouTube channel today, because I'm seeing a lot of people really struggling with their children right now, and for good reason. And it's pretty, it's concerning to me, because they're learning how to manage their stress from you. And you need to, like, if you are not literally mega dosing on Ionic Supreme right now, and you just are freaking out about everything, please, please, please take it very seriously and make sure that you're managing your stress, because when you raise those stress hormones up, it decreases your immune system. And that's the last thing we need right now. I mean, we're all worried. We're all scared. We've all got, I mean, I work for the airlines, for goodness sake. I'm like it's super stressful right now. We've lost 4 flight attendants so far. I mean, that's like our brethren, and they're going down. And we already have people on, I work for Frontier, and Frontier is already had like, I think it's 5 or 6 people in our company diagnosed, and it's a pretty small company. So it's a very scary time for everyone, but it is supremely important that people are really, really managing their stress in healthy ways right now. I know there's lots of jokes about alcohol and wine and all that right now, and I get, trust me, like I get it. It's very stressful time, but now is not the time to be throwing caution to the wind and not taking good care of your health. Now is the time to really be dialing in and making sure that you're paying very close attention to your health. It's more important than ever.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If you already had it, can you get it again? Are you a carrier and can give it to others? How does that work?
Okay, that's an awesome question. We don't know. The virus is mutating, but it's not mutating as fast as other viruses, so that's the good news. We are, they're watching it very closely right now. We don't have a good answer. If you had it, and number one, the only way to know if you truly had it is to get the antibody test for it and have it proven that you did have it. If you get exposed to it again, there's a very small chance that you are going to get it again. It's just that it's not mutating that fast. If you were not fully symptomatic, now what can happen, and I think is happening, is a lot of people are carrying it around for a long time and they're asymptomatic, and then they, have a couple bad nights sleep or something happens and that virus is there, and then it has a chance to take hold, and now we're running into trouble. Because now you've got full-blown symptoms and you were a carrier this whole time and didn't know it. And this is why the stay-at-home orders are in place, you guys, is because we're all, any one of us could be carrying it around right now. And it's a very scary time. I'm not sure if that answered your question. It's a very hard question to answer because we just don't have that information yet. The virus hasn't been around long enough to really know. We do know, and I will go on record as saying this virus was not in the United States in December. So those people who are saying, oh, I had the pneumonia in December, that must have been COVID. No, that was not this virus, okay? Because ground zero in China wasn't until December, really. They can't trace it back past December. So it was not in the United States. And our first case was in January in Washington, as far as I understand from what information is out there.
That's correct.
I'm sorry, what?
That's correct. Sorry, Jerny.
Yeah, okay, so Miss Washington just spoke up, yes.
I'll mute myself again.
Yeah, so thank you, Tabitha. Tabitha's in Washington, in case you guys didn't know that. So, Washington state was ground zero for this virus because they have so many Chinese nationals coming in and out of Seattle. And so that was pretty much what was happening. Nobody knew. It's not China's fault. They didn't know. They weren't coming here on purpose. They didn't know. Again, asymptomatic carriers, and Americans were coming back from China. Americans do a ton of business in China. And so they were coming back home, and it didn't take long for it to take hold because nobody knew. But if you did, to go back to the original question, if you did have it, you did develop an immunity to it. And it's very rare that you're going to get it again until maybe 2 or 3 years later, when this strain has mutated enough that your immune system doesn't recognize it. Does that make sense? It's,
Yes, and that totally answered the question. Thank you.
okay. Because that's how all viruses work, is all viruses start as one thing and then they mutate. And the thing about this baby is it's not mutating very fast. There's only 6 strains as of a couple days ago. There's only 6 strains out there. That's not very many considering the widespreadness. I don't know if that's a word.
So
The
would you,
widespreadness of this.
if they come out with an immunization, are you going to get it or not?
I'm not. I don't get flu shots. That is a personal choice. That is a personal choice. I rely on my immune system to do its job. And I always have. I've never had a flu shot. And I've never had the flu. So that's just, but that's just me. I would not say that to anyone else. I would not recommend that to anyone else. I think that that's an important distinction. My personal choices, I don't do flu shots. And I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to introduce that to my body. My body has a natural immunization to it. Now that's very different from childhood vaccines.
Alexa, how much time is left?
Got 20 minutes. So okay, so these are really good questions. And if you guys have, like, let's bring it on. Like, let's talk about this.
So, Jerny,
Yes, ma'am.
what products would you recommend to someone? Because my son cannot have a flu shot. When he was 3, he had an allergic reaction, and we ended up in the hospital. So,
Yeah.
what products should I be giving to him?
He's 18, right?
21.
21. Okay. Sorry. Wow, that 3 years went fast.
It sure did, sweetheart.
Sorry about that.
It's
He
okay.
was 18 at one point.
Yes, he was.
Okay, so that's a good question. Like, again, daily essentials. Doesn't need the isogenesis, but he needs the daily essentials.
Okay.
A shake a day.
Oh, I haven't been able to get those down him yet. I've tried.
Okay, and here's another good one that's really delicious is 2 scoops of Ionics and a half a packet of hydrate.
He does like to hydrate. So, okay, so Ionics and hydrate together?
Yeah, it tastes really good.
Okay.
And then you're not making him drink 2 things. It's just one thing. Kids, you gotta trick kids a little bit.
Hey, you know, and I have a suggestion for that. Because we've got to find different ways to get protein down. And I have one child who won't do shakes either. He does bars and goes through.
Right, Jeffrey will do bars.
Yeah.
The chocolate decadence is his favorite.
Yeah, and Parker is not experimental whatsoever. But you know, if they will, you know, you got the brownie batter where you take your oatmeal, cover it with some hot water, and then pour a packet or 2 scoops of protein powder in it. That's really good and very tasty. And they're eating it like that, or maybe making the cake, or peanut butter balls, of course, but those have a lot of extra things in there. And then, of course, we do have our peanut butter bites. So they're going to have some protein there. None of my children will do the bone broth, but I do put the bone broth in almost every recipe I possibly can. And, you know, and then, of course, drinks. But, you know, it's something that I think we need to be expanding on this a lot more for parents with autistic or children that are on the spectrum.
Yep.
And most of them won't drink a shake. They don't like the consistency. So I think we've got to start with our own families and experiment and ask other people to experiment so that we can help all these other families.
What
Yeah,
about making them thicker like a ice cream? Would they
I
do
was just
that?
going to say that. Yeah, making ice cream is a great idea. I've done that a couple of times. And you don't use the shake, you just use the pure protein powder. But then you can throw all kinds of stuff in there, and you just do it with
The
frozen
Isopro?
berries, and it turns into a sorbet.
Mm-hmm.
So are you talking the Isopro Jerny?
Yes. Yeah, vanilla
Or try
isopro
release.
or try
Okay.
release.
I
The
have vanilla
isopro
Isopro.
is, yeah, the isopro I like better for that simply because it's finer. It's got like
Yeah.
a little bit more graininess to it. So it gets more ice creamy, but either one would work great. And you just, you do a little bit of almond milk and a ton of frozen berries, and then your scoops of isopro, and you just blend it, and the kids love it.
Okay, so I can put strawberries, bananas, and some greens in there.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right, I'll do my part with that because I just ordered the ice cream maker from Pampered Chef. And so I'm excited to start making ice cream. So I'll start putting that in there and let you know if Parker's thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll be watching for that video.
Yeah.
But remember, you guys, the micronutrition is key for them. So if you can, however you got to get it in them, get it in them. As for a 21-year-old, their body is starving for this nutrition. So getting
Yes.
creative, and truly the vitamins are magic. Like, I don't understand why we don't promote those more. Truly, they're life-changing.
Yeah, no, I'm promoting those like crazy right now. I know Diana had some input that she wanted to put out there too. And if you guys don't know, Diana is an emergency room nurse and working through all of this on the front
Well,
line.
thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I have to say it has not been easy at all. And so I made some notes because I wanted to make sure that I covered everything, and I don't want to take up too much time. So Stephanie, if you just need to mute me at the end, do it, because I don't want to go over the time. So I'm going to do some research about the elderberry, because I read somewhere that it is not the thing to do. I don't know why, and I'll see if I can find that, because I don't want, if I can't find where it's written and if it's not a reliable source, I don't want to put it out there. I can tell you all, though, I did talk to one of my ER doctors about the ibuprofen situation. She said there is absolutely no scientific backing to give us any reason to believe that it is not okay to take it. So it is okay to use ibuprofen. You do not want to let a fever go like crazy. It has its place, but when it causes the heart rate to go super high and the breathing to be like rapid and shallow and labored, that's not good either. So there's got to be some kind of a balance. I would say a 100.5 temperature, that's when you need to start looking at maybe doing something to bring that down. There is a gentleman, I believe that he has some YouTube videos. His name is Chris Como, and it's Kuamo. He's a physician's assistant or a physician who had it. And he had somebody that called him and said, look, I know it hurts, but you've got to get up and move around. The first thing that we want to do when we're sick is go to bed. And that is the worst thing that you can do, because that's what causes you to not breathe as deep. It causes you to let that crap settle in your lungs if you're predisposed to it. So you have to just nip that in the bud. Turn yourself on your belly, take some nice deep breaths, even if it hurts, just do it. Get up and try to walk from one side of the room to the other. They're not saying do anything that's going to make you out of breath or whatever. Move, stretch, put your arms above your head, and really try to inflate those lungs. The other thing that I would say that I use a lot of is the repair. Because of the turmeric that it contains, it is a great anti-inflammatory. And we want to do everything that we can to reduce all that inflammation, which seems to be kind of a chronic thing with me with the Addison's disease. It just, I don't know why, but it just is. So I use it twice a day. Plus I use the Brain Boost, which also has turmeric, because it's a great anti-inflammatory. Bone broth is really good for our gut. And let me just tell you, when Jerny said that not everybody's having the same symptoms, she is exactly right. We have had people check into the ER that have stomach upset, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, no other symptoms, no respiratory component to it. So they're being put into the opposite side of the emergency room, not our locked down quarantine unit. And turns out, guess what? They're positive. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. And I will tell you, we have had, just in the last 10 days, we have had 10 people just at our hospital alone that have been tested and are positive. I have a friend who had, her doctors are telling her that she probably had it in January, February. Now, she wasn't swabbed, didn't have the antibody test, so there's no way to prove that. But she's got it again, and she is really sick. She does have underlying health conditions, but we had a young man who's one of our technicians, 27 years old, and had no other health problems. It put him down. He was so sick, his whole body hurt, fever that he could not get under control. We were putting ice packs in his armpits, behind his neck. He ended up getting admitted to the hospital for 3 days for that. Now he's back to work and he feels better, but it's like Jerny said, there's like no ifs, ands, or buts. This virus is not playing favorites. It really isn't. We just had a 25-year-old 2 days ago that died in our ICU from COVID. Over half of our bodies in our morgue are COVID patients. And I will tell you that probably 99% of the media stuff that you hear about them not giving us enough protective personal equipment, it's at our hospital, it's true. It's very true. I'm kind of grappling with the, they're not going to accommodate me as far as my immune suppression. They're not able to accommodate me is what they're saying. So I can choose to go on unemployment, which pays a whopping, what, $800 or $900 a month. I can try to file for disability, or I can continue to go to work and put myself at risk and pray and pray and pray that I don't get it.
Do you think the people that have passed away had underlying conditions?
Some of them did and some of them didn't. Most of the patients that are in our ICU right now on ventilators are 30 to 40-year-olds with no underlying health conditions at all, none.
I mean, that's what's kind of scary. I mean, I feel like I have a strong immune system, but
Right. But you know, in the beginning, they were telling us that we couldn't wear masks at work, that we couldn't because it was scaring people, which is ridiculous. And so that young 27-year-old that we took care of, our employee, how many people did he expose himself to? Who went home and exposed their families? How many patients and how many patients' families did he expose himself to? Who went home and shared it with their families? You just don't know. The ripple from this is like huge. So if you don't take anything away from this, take every opportunity you can to educate people about why they need to just freaking stay home. Don't wear gloves out in public, because everything you touch, then you touch whatever else and you're contaminating it's crazy. Also, something that we've started doing at work is we're putting our phones inside clear plastic bags before we even walk into the building, so that we're not touching our phones with our bare hands ever. And then you can use a pair of gloves, take the phone out when you get back home after you disinfect your entire body. And because our phones kind of hold on to a lot of bacteria, and it will work with the iPhones with the face recognition. That doesn't seem to be a hindrance with the plastic. It's totally fine. I can tell you, I flush out my nose with hot salt water every day that I'm at work, scald myself in the shower, bleach everything down. There's not too much that you can't do to keep it from spreading. It's horrible.
You know, I think though, so many people are afraid to go outside. Like, I am outside all the time and I'm moving my body, and I feel like that my saving grace. And I feel like I have so many friends that are just, since they're told to stay home, they're not outside getting grounded, being in earth, or, you know, being on the earth, getting fresh air. I mean, don't you think that's super important?
I do. You just need to stay away from people, though.
Yeah, for sure.
You just need to stay away from people. 13 feet is what they're saying that can travel in the air. So if you're like out on a path and someone is out there, you need to make sure that you keep a good distance away from them. I will also tell you that I posted this on my wall. I shared it. It was one of my past emergency room physicians who was talking about this young man who stayed at home because he didn't think that he was worthy of an ER visit. He thought that he would be laughed at and ridiculed and turned away because he wasn't sick enough, and he died. So if you trust your gut, if you guys think that you need to go to the ER because you feel horrible and you think something needs to be done, go, please, by all means. Like we are not seeing the numbers, the volume that we were before, but it's because I think all of the urgent care, non-emergent stuff they're all staying home now. But please, please, please don't let yourself get so sick that we can't fix you.
Great information.
I hope that helped you guys. And if anybody's got any questions or if they need something answered, please feel free to reach out to me. If it's something that I have like some, like I said, a reliable source or something that we've seen in our ER, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Thank you for that, Diana. Thank you. All right, guys, we are at the top of our hour, and this has been such an amazing call. It's a very serious call. I've taken a lot in. I know you guys all have been. Jerny, is there anything you want to add before I talk about tomorrow? Thank you, Diana. That was very, very important.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. I actually read the same articles that you referred to. Number one about the ibuprofen, and number two about the struggle is real. The healthcare workers are massively stressed out. Things are just ramping up in Arizona now. So I talked to my daughter today, and again, the protective equipment is not there. It's not where we need it to be for our healthcare workers, and we need to shed more light on that. As a mom who knows that my daughter's the one doing the intubating, it's hard to know that she has one mask per 12-hour shift. That's just, she's not an alarmist. And she was like, Mom, it's just totally unacceptable.
Sometimes it's more than 12 hours. They're using them for days on end.
Yeah, she gets one every 12-hour shift. So she's, she's one of the lucky ones, but she said it's completely unacceptable because you can't keep that on all the time. Love the suggestion about putting the phone in the plastic baggie. I think that's a great suggestion. As far as the ibuprofen, what I read and heard was exactly the same, and I confirmed that. I said to my daughter, I said, what do you think about this? And she said, there's no, usually your doctor's gonna say alternate Tylenol and ibuprofen anyway. So you just follow your doctor's orders, period, the end. Like, you just do what your doctor tells you, you're gonna follow that. You're not going to follow what social media says. This is why, I can't even go on social media right now because it's making me nuts. But this, you guys, I think is valuable conversation. I hope you guys had the opportunity to learn something. As the information is still coming out. Everything is changing very rapidly, very quickly. We really don't know. At this point, they could make all the projections they want, but we really don't know. It's just our personal responsibility to make sure that we are taking good care of ourselves and our family and doing the best that we can, and not relying on the healthcare system and the government to try to fix us. If we can prevent having to visit a healthcare facility, that would be ideal. So do what you can do to keep yourself healthy, share it with anybody who's willing to listen, and then take extra ionics when people aren't listening.
I'm doing 4 a day right now.
Kimberly's laughing because she knows what I'm saying right now.
4.
I'm just gonna go take some more ionics right now.
Yes, Stephanie, it is awful. Somebody walked in there the other day and said they couldn't even walk in that room. One of our tech managers is hoarding all of our cleaning supplies, and all of the face shields that Lisa Kieran donated are in her freaking office. And the whole goal of that was like to not let anybody have to share that face shield.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah,
one of the girls, one of the ladies, Lisa, is working on, she's got this huge campaign making face shields.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what Diana's referring to. And Jerny, if you didn't know about that, Lisa Corinne and Barbara and a couple other people are actually making the plastic face shields that you can put on, and they're donating them to hospitals or whoever else needs them in the medical field, which we should also look at police officers too. That's a whole nother discussion. So just talk to Lisa at Jerny and you'll get some about her.
Also, if any of you guys
You know those,
anybody that's got a 3D printer,
yeah,
look them up with her, because they're asking for more people to use their 3D printers to help make these masks.
I saw on Facebook, you know those, it's kind of like this, a plastic thing, except it's got holes, but then it's sealed. And they're using page protectors and putting their glasses through the page protector though, but it's got the rim and everything, and it's like full and it comes straight down. And it'd be disposable. I mean, hey, if it comes down to your life, or
right,
I'd wear a page protector.
Now they're even encouraging us to wear something to cover our hair, something non-porous, like a shower cap or something that because they're finding it in people's hair.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm afraid to go to the market, and I mean, I'm scrubbing my lemons and I'm scrubbing my bananas and I'm scrubbing everything. And I'm just going, you know what? At some point, she's right. Like, you're going to come in contact. So like, all we can control is what we put in our bodies and exercise.
Going to the store is becoming an exercise, is becoming a workout in itself. Because when you come home, you have to disinfect everything you bring into the house. You have to disinfect your car. And all of these stories I hear from Diana every day makes me like change something about what I'm doing. I now do my shoes.
I feel like, so let me just really quick, if you guys are okay, share what I have to go through when I get off work. I disinfect everything. I walk to my car with my work shoes. I take them off and I put a pair of slip-ons on my feet. And I clean the bottoms of those before I get in my car. I've had to clean my floor mats. When I get home, I take the shoes out of a plastic bin that has a lid on it, and I put them on a piece of plastic in the garage, spray them off with this bleach ammonia cleaner that I have, and leave them sitting in the garage on the plastic all day while I'm sleeping, as well as spraying out the inside of the bin and the lid on both sides. I feel like I need to torch my clothes and the inside of my car when this is done. Everything that you touch, and we don't realize how many things we touch, like the door handles. I've disinfected the inside of my car. I can't even tell you how many times. How many, it's incredible.
Now, can't you, like, what I do if I get a box, for example, I'll spray it where I grab it, I'll put it inside, and then I'll let it sit for like a week or something before I even go handle it. Won't it be dead by then?
Mm-hmm. 4 days.
3 days.
You just let it get old.
Take the blow dryer to it. Take the blow dryer to it, because the blow dryer is hot enough. The heat from that should get rid of everything. And it's really the moisture that the bug needs to live in. It needs, that's a terrible word, but it needs to have a moist, not hot, but warm environment.
I have an infrared sauna, and it, brings your core temperature up to a certain temperature for about, and it's hot for about an hour after that too. I feel like that's really helpful for me.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, anything that you get at the store that you don't need right away, they're saying keep it in the garage for 3 or 4 days and it'll be gone.
Yep.
I mean, my husband went out and I made him stay in the garage for 5 days before I bring him back in.
Hey, Stephanie, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So the bottle of the Immune Boost, the canister says that you can use it 2 times a day, which I've been doing, but I'm going to run out before my month is up. So that kind of freaks me out a little.
Okay.
I thought it was once per order. Only one per order, not one per month.
No, well, I thought it was one per, they restated it because it did either say, or people got the idea it was only once per month. And they're like, oh, no, 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 no. So maybe it is once per.
I thought so.
Yeah, yeah, which makes more sense because they're not going to be able to keep track of that anyways. They can keep track of orders.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And I'm not intending to hoard it, but I just really, I really need it.
Yeah.
So I'll try ordering it again because it's been 2 weeks and I'm almost out. I should have enough if I am able to order some to last until I can get some more.
I think I've ordered 2 this month
Okay.
and it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't let you put 2 into your order. Like it doesn't let you change it from a 1, but you can order it again. I swear I ordered twice.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's correct because there is really truly no way that they would be able to calculate that. It would only be on the orders.
Right.
Oh gosh, guys, I am just so thankful for all of this knowledge and this team, that we can have these open conversations and to talk about everything and to let our stress out because we're the ones, and especially you, Diana, and I'm sure you too, Jerny, who have to keep the guard up and not break down. And you've got to be the strong ones for everybody. So I'm thankful. I teared up today. I don't know about you guys tonight. That we have this safe place to talk to each other. I think we need to continue to do it more. We do meet every day. If you guys don't know that, I think the majority of you do know that we meet anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day, every single day. So we get to have not these type of conversations, but at least see each other and talk to each other. So I just from the bottom of my heart, I love you guys.
And thankful for this nutrition because if this was happening 2 years ago when I was almost 300 pounds and incredibly unhealthy, and all of those medical problems that I had would have put me at extremely high risk. Holy cow.
I'm curious, Michelle, because I'm sure you've thought about this, what do you think you would have been feeling if you were unhealthy and the 300 pounds?
Thinking about what?
Like you and how you would manage this. Do you think you could manage it? Would you have been optimistic? Would you have been negative? Or
I would have been negative, and a lot of it would have been denial.
So
because yeah, back then I wouldn't have done anything different. I wouldn't have changed my diet because of it, because I was in major denial.
Okay.
That all of those medical conditions that I had, I didn't believe were caused by my nutrition at all. A lot of it I thought was genetic. And I look and health-wise was a lot like my grandmother. So I often just said, well, I take after her. There's nothing I can do about it. So I just would have been like, well, if I get it, I get it. I wouldn't have done anything different. So.
Okay, thank you for that. I mean, that helps us to know what people might be feeling and going through. And I know Kathleen's still on here. So Kathleen, I'm just going to go ahead and point out, Kathleen is so healthy right now, unbelievably healthy with her nutrition and her exercise. And I mean, guys, she just hiked Flatiron, if you know that mountain at all, or that peak, which is crazy, but her husband is not. and he's not very healthy right now, and he's having lots of conversations, and he's negative. So I'm sorry to bring that out, Kathleen. Hopefully that's okay to say in this group. Um, but you know, that's a real struggle that I think we have to realize when we reach out to people that the door may be shut if they are not healthy.
Mhm.
They're thinking this way, and there's just no way we're going to penetrate through, especially when it comes to our families. Ah,
Yep.
all right, guys.
Great information tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Let's give Jerny and Diana a big, big, big thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Jerny gets up really, really early. So staying up at this hour, because it's 10 o'clock for her right now, is hard. So
Yeah, my shift starts in 2 hours.
oh gosh. So this was a big gift that she wanted to give to us and come on and share with us. So thank you so much, Jerny. We will ask you to do morning morning calls in the future.
It's
Oh my gosh, I appreciate you so much.
yeah, no, it's a whole different world. I mean, we're not doing a lot of flying right now, so the likelihood that I get called is probably pretty minimal. So I just checked my schedule and it's looking pretty good. But yeah, I'm out there. I mean, I'm exposing myself every day, and we're worried, but we're also have a job to do. And you know, God bless all the essential workers. God bless the medical workers and the people who like literally have to watch this go down. I just have to, you know, manage the people who are not making good decisions, but there are people who have to manage, you know, the actual reality of this. And you know, my heart goes out to all of the medical workers, all of the first responders, all of the, you know, stay-at-home parents who are trying to juggle their career and their kids at home and manage the stress of, you know, people are getting laid off. Like, I still have a job. So I'm very grateful for the fact that I actually have a job still, because I picked the exact wrong time to go into this industry. Oh, well. You know, you just deal with it. But thank you guys for getting on the call. It means a lot to me. I wasn't sure what I was going to say, and then once I started talking, it all just sort of flowed out of me. So please feel free to reach out to me, private message me if you guys have any questions, any suggestions. Like, things change all the time. So, you know, this call is being recorded, and hopefully this will get into more hands, but also understand that this information could be out of date by next week. So, you know, we'll take it 1 week at a time. But thank you, Stephanie, as always, for your leadership. And, you know, it means a lot to be on this team. I've been a little MIA because I, you know, was sequestered up in Cheyenne, Wyoming for the month while this was all coming down. And then I had to move across the country. So it's just been a little bit crazy, but I'm very grateful. Isogenics has always been there for me, so I will always be there for Isogenics.
Thank you for that, Jerny. Thank you. And yes, you've shown that in so many ways, and always come with 100%. So thank you. One other topic, a little bit different but related. Of course, tomorrow is another one of our Thursday night calls, and tomorrow is mental health. I'm going to plead and ask each of you to invite just as many people as you can and be bold. I am just blindly sending it in a private message to everybody. I don't know if it's for you or not, but right now, this is what I can do to help. And that's all that I'll send you guys a script. It doesn't say exactly that, but the point being across is we're trying to figure out how to help. We know we can help with this. It may or may not be for you, but can you please share it for someone else that they might need this? And we've got to just be bold. And we've always talked about being bold and not keeping this to ourselves. And I know none of you on this call do, but we have to really teach our team members to come out. And I've heard from so many who are like, well, I invited 2 people, or I've invited 4, and that doesn't work, right? And so I know you guys aren't those, but we've got to share with our team members. A third of the third are going to actually show. And this is where we have to reach the masses. So we've got to do everything. Next week, we're talking, I think Diane is going to help us next week with medical professionals. And then we want to bring on parents with children on the spectrum. I mean, we're trying to hit all of these areas that we know are just very difficult right now, where we could also provide a solution, whether it's with the nutrition, income, or both. But we've got to plead and get this out to people so that it continues. And when you talk to people, please let them know we do this every Thursday. If we can get a following and then they come on and find out that we're safe, and then they tell their friends, and then just keeps becoming this ripple effect. At a minimum, hopefully we can at least provide a community for people, and we can provide a place where they get a few minutes to laugh or smile or just enjoy being around other people. But hopefully we can give them the information, and then of course hopefully we can give them solutions. So it just, I'm begging and begging that we get this information out to as many as possible, and not just invite, right? We got to normalize that message.
So you know how you were talking about how safe we are? I think maybe I'll touch on that next week. But I have to tell you, like, Friday will be my day 7 from my last known exposure, and it was a big exposure. Nobody had masks on. Nobody thought that this patient had COVID. He knew he tested positive, and he chose not to tell any of us. But I'm good. I'm good. I posted pictures of taking selfies with one of the nurses that I work with when the police department did their cheering for us. 2 days later, she got sick. She went home and tested positive, and I was right next to her with no mask. Not the smartest decision I ever made. We weren't thinking about it, any of us. We were just emotional and excited about it. But so far, I'm okay. I'm not having any symptoms at all, except my cortisol level is super low, but we're working on that.
Great.
And I have to believe that it's because of this nutrition. The protein and all of the anti-inflammatory products and the immune boost. I have to believe that that's why I'm still safe.
Yeah, well, I absolutely 100% agree with that. We've had so many people from Isogenics say that they've had symptoms and that they know that they went through this, especially in February. I'm sure Tyler went through it in February. And they talked about how it's just the most horrible thing. I mean, all the things that people are saying is what they experienced before, and everybody's fine now. So it is super important that we continue on our nutrition, but then share it just with as many people as possible. And guys, I'll make this recording available. They can hear directly from Jerny and Diana and everybody else that contributed. It's crazy times.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jerny. Thank you, Diana. Thank you.
Jerny, get some rest.